Welcome to Newcomers on Fire, the podcast guiding you to thrive in your new country. I am Miguel, your host. Moving to a new country is tough, and starting over can be even tougher. But it doesn't have to be. With the right mindset and community, we will help you accelerate your journey. In each episode, we talk to people who have been through it, and they shared how they did it, step by step. Remember, success leaves clues, and my goal is to motivate and support you to build the life you want, wherever you are. This podcast is just the start. If you want more, you should check out our community. That is where the real magic happens. If you find value in this episode or have a story to inspire newcomers, I would love to hear from you. You can send us a message or record a short video at story.onfire.show. Sharing your experience can make all the difference from someone who is just starting. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
We hear Gurasis' incredible story of moving from India to Canada. He faced many struggles like finding housing, lost job opportunities, and cultural barriers related to his thick accent and appearance. However, he kept a positive mindset and persevered through networking and persistence. Gurasis gives excellent advice for newcomers on networking, information interviews, and staying resilient. He launched his own podcast called My Thick Accent to showcase immigrant success stories. Prepare to be inspired by Gurasis' journey to finding belonging through his thick accent. You will learn key lessons on mindset, community, and believing in yourself when tackling immigration challenges.
Welcome to the Newcomers on Fire show with your host, Miguel Abascal. Listen to people like you sharing their journeys, struggles, and their breakthroughs. Be ready to be inspired to take control of your time, career, finances, and future. Fulfill your potential. Become the person you're meant to be and make your dreams a reality.
Welcome back to another episode of Newcomers on Fire. Today we have our amazing guest, Gurasis. I'm super excited to be talking with you, Gurasis, today because your journey is incredible. So let's start with, like, just for the benefit of everyone, who is Gurasis and when did you came to Canada?
Perfect. Well, first of all, thank you, Miguel, for having me. Very, very excited to be on this podcast, especially the name Newcomers on Fire. And I think indeed they need to be recognized that we are kind of making a great mark. So thank you for having me. And to answer your question, yes, I think in one line I would define that I am an advertising professional and I am also a podcaster, a host of the podcast My Thick Accent. And I came to Canada in 2018 as an international student to do this amazing program called Media Strategies and Advertising, which is like an amalgamation of social media, graphic designing, advertising, marketing, everything which the current field I am in right now. And that was like 5 years ago, and it has been a journey of ups and downs and learnings and experiences and a lot of good and bad experiences, which has all like obviously made me the person I am today. So very excited to unfold all that today. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm super excited, Grace. This is like, yeah, this is super cool. So let's start with your decision to move to a new country. Like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? And most importantly, did everything go according to plan? I'm trying to see if your expectations and reality match because so far I haven't met a guest that they say like, "Hey, this is exactly what happened." But yeah, I'm super excited to hear about you.
Of course. So I actually finished my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication back in India, like in 2017, and I was just working there. I was working like as a basically like a content writer. I was writing articles for the local newspaper. It was called the Visa News, and it was about educating people about the immigration and about the illicit practices that people do, all sort of things. You know how they like trap people just to gain money. So it was basically educating people about that. I was doing that back in 2016 and 17. And while doing that, obviously, I'm in an atmosphere which is all about immigration, and I see people coming and inquiring about the various ways of moving abroad and different parts of the world, not only Canada, US, New Zealand, Australia. And I think that's how I got a little bit more educated about moving abroad. And the reason I think I would say I chose Canada, it's very hard for me to answer that because even I don't know, because I always say I think it was destiny who kind of brought me here. But if I really reflect back on just before this call, I was just thinking that why did I choose Canada? I was just thinking about it and I was like, it was because it was more about assuring my parents that Canada, we so basically, you know how in Canada we do have a big Indian community. And
Yeah.
to be even more specific, if I narrow it down, a lot of Punjabi community and a lot of my father's friends, their relatives, their children, they all are just here. So they have like some sort of familiar faces who live in Canada, in different parts of Canada, all around, all over. They're spread. Sorry. So they're spread it like all over Canada. So that's why I think he told me, okay, just choose Canada. It would be like a better choice. And a lot of, and you wouldn't believe that 90% of my classmates with whom I studied in my 12th grade, they all are in Canada
No
across British
way.
Columbia. Yes, absolutely. And whenever I tell people, they are amazed, but literally 90% of them are in Canada. And the ones who could not come, the reasons are very similar. Like for the people who could not come, it could be financial reasons, or they already have like settled businesses and they didn't move. So that's why I was like, okay, I think that's why I end up choosing Canada.
It's a sign.
And yeah, so absolutely, I think it was a sign for sure. And I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna pack my bags, and Canada seems like a better choice. And also, if you'll see that Canada make things a little easier than other countries, if I compare it to the US, for example, it's kind of hard to go there and kind of get your work permit and continue to stay there, and at the same time get your residency and green card. You do hear stories of people who still have that huge backlog of green card, and they are in the queue from like years, some
Yeah.
people even from decades, honestly. That's why I was like, Canada seemed like a better choice. So I came here in 2018, and to answer your second question, did everything go as planned? No, it did not, obviously. And I think initially, I think it took me a little bit of time to even realize or kind of uh, get get like accustomed to the fact that okay, I am in abroad. Finally, I am in a foreign land where I have to navigate a life on my own. There is no networks of your uncles and aunts and chachis and masis, how we call it in our local languages. We have to do everything on our own.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you one thing, I was very much prepared, Miguel, that this is how it's going to be. This is how I have to do everything on my own, whether it's the chores, it's the food, it's the taxes, it's the everything that one has to do. But one thing I wasn't prepared for was that it will take me forever to get an accommodation, because I when I came here initially, I lived with some person I found like on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and I ended up living with them for the 10 days, and then I could not get a house up until my, I think, my fourth week in Canada. And I think I was
Wow.
changing places, changing, I think I changed like around 5 places in 4 weeks. I would just like keep on moving. I was having this, and also I had, obviously, I'm coming with two suitcases. At that time, Jet Airways was still on, it was still running, and Jet Airways allowed you 3 bags. So I actually came with those 3 bags and a carry on, and I'm just like taking that luggage, a lot of luggage, place to place. So that was kind of annoying initially, but then I finally got this house, and I did not leave that house for like 2 years.
Oh
For sure.
wow.
Yeah, I live in the same house, and I think on the career front, I would say yes, you do have a little bit of um hope that yes, I will get my once I finish my education, yes, I will get the work permit and I'll get the job. You have that like a rough plan in your mind. But then came in the pandemic, and I got my work permit just at the beginning of pandemic, and on top of that, my program was just 14 months, and I got the work permit for only 14 months, because that's how the
Right.
policy is. If you study less than 16 months, you don't get the 3-year work mark, 3-year work permit. So I think that was definitely the added pressure. And another thing, I would say that yes, it didn't go as planned, but I'm so glad that it didn't go as planned. How we thought the things should work. And I say that because we have this famous Bollywood actor. His name is Amitabh Bachchan, and he always quote his father Harivansh Rai Bachchan, and he said that he used to ask his father used to tell him that if the things go as planned, good. If they didn't go as planned, it's even better. And I think at that time I might have not understood that, but I think now if I look back at that, I'm so glad it didn't work, because there is always some divine power that is there and that is definitely working for you. You don't realize it in that particular moment, but then if you reflect on those the years and those experiences that you had and those failures, so to say, you had, you realize that I'm so glad it did not happen, because I'm able to do what I'm doing today because it did not work out, So yeah, the short answer, it didn't go as planned, but I'm so glad it didn't. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that because you're so right. I think I identify as well because it took me 5 years to land a job in my profession. And of course, I never planned for it. But to your point, my mess has become my message, my test has become my testimony. And
Yeah.
today, for sure, like we are doing all of this, uh, you yourself included, just because we want
Mhm.
to help and facilitate the process
Absolutely.
to the other.
Yeah.
Quick question for you: what if you could send a tweet or a short message to yourself just before taking the plane to move to Canada? What will you say to yourself?
I do think about that also, and I would say that don't be so hard on yourself. You are absolutely okay how the way you are, and don't question your abilities a lot, because I think I did at lot of moments at for few months and few after few interviews I have questioned myself as well. And I would say don't be so hard on yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely fine the way you are. So don't question your accent as well. The way you are speaking, it's understandable. It's just it takes a little bit of time to get accustomed to each other's accents. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, I love it. I love it because Gurasis, I was the kind of person that I used to apologize for my accent. I remember being in a team.
Yeah.
I was working at Tim Hortons, and I was taking orders through the drive-through, and I would say like, "I'm so sorry for my accent, but how can I help you?" And there was this lady that says like, "Oh, please do not apologize for your accent. You are the reason I come here every morning.
Hmm.
I love your sexy accent. You just made my day." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's super cool." So we're going to be talking more about that because you have a podcast about my thick accent, which I love.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but before we jump into that, quick question: you landed, I think if I understood correctly, you landed in Montreal,
Yes, I
and
did.
then you started this program. What
Mhm.
happened in that year of 40 months of of school? What was your first impression?
Mhm.
Did people understand you as well? Like, yeah, if you can tell us more.
Sure. I think I'll go back to my very first day in class. So the program was called Media Strategies and Advertising, like I said, and it was my very first class. It was like a communication, interpersonal communication course, I believe. And first of all, it took me forever to find my class, because that's not the case in India. Like, we have one classroom, and that's where the teachers come and go. Different teachers on different courses come and go. That isn't the case here, right? We have to find, and then there are different buildings. You are kind of lost, different floors, and it took me like forever to find my class. Then I finally found it. I entered the class, and for a moment I was like, am I in the wrong class? Because there was no Indian student at all. No one, not even a single one. And you hear that, a lot of international students come, and I said, how is it possible that nobody from India came apart from me? So I entered the class,
Yeah,
and I was sitting on the second row, first desk, always the first bencher. I sat there, and then they asked us to introduce ourselves. I got up, I went to the front of the class and introduced myself. I spoke for like 5 minutes. My name is Gurasis. I'm from India. I have this experience. I'm here to learn this. I'm very excited, etc. etc. For a lot of things I spoke. I'm looking forward to this too in Canada. A lot of things I spoke. And when I was done talking, everybody's face was blank. Totally blank. And I felt like, Miguel, I have said something really culturally inappropriate, and I have offended at least not all, but at least few of them, including my professor. She was absolutely quiet, and then she was like, "Oh, welcome. Please have a seat." And then I end up, and I was like, "What did I say wrong?" And I felt, and then I was like, "What just happened here?" And then I think eventually in couple of months, when I think after 3 months or so, when we got a little bit open to each other and we started uh, knowing each other a little bit more, and we got the groups and group projects. And then one of the classmates, she was from Colombia, I believe, but she was living in Canada like from past 10 years, I suppose. And she came to me and she said, the reason we all were so quiet the first time we introduced, Like that mystery was still there, that what happened. I got to know about it 3 months later. She told me, basically, we didn't understand your accent, the way you spoke. We were like, what kind of English is this? So that's why they didn't even understand me, what I said for like 5 minutes. But I also don't blame them, because I understand that they have a certain way of pronouncing things and saying things, and I said it very differently. And but it was still English. And also, when you are nervous, in a new environment, you tend to speak very fast, and I have the habit of doing that. And
Yeah.
then and I end up like speaking very fast. I think that was like my initial impressions I had, that where have I come? It was like that. But eventually, I was very, very happy to be in that classroom, because I felt like I had the best classmates ever, Mikhail. I can't complain. They were so nice, so supportive. The professors, they were like the professionals in their industries, who were teaching part time, and like the people who have made those advertising campaigns, all those which we have seen, they were from the biggest agencies where I wanted to work all my life. So all those people who are coming and teaching me and giving me the detailed insights, which I would never be able to learn from the internet, or from YouTube, or nobody would be able to educate me. So that was very, very fascinating from me. And my program was also very hands on, completely hands on. There was like no written examination at all presentations, all like ideations and graphic designing. And I think there was only one course, which was law. I think it was very necessary to teach us advertising law. They taught us the advertising standards of Canada.
Yeah.
Like everything that goes out, it goes through the ASC. It's called the Advertising Standards Canada. So learning about that, the advertising to children, advertising to adult, advertising alcohol, all these experiences were something I think I would have not been able to learn on my own, or even I would say not even in India. I should not say like not even in India, maybe in some institutions, but by then, up until that time, I did not get exposed to that. So that was pretty fascinating for me. And then within the classroom, within the work environment, it was very fun. It was very nice. Everybody spoke English, everybody understood English, and it was kind of nice. But outside, obviously, it's bilingual. Initially, it was kind of hard, because when you go to a restaurant, everything is in French, the menu is in French, and
Yeah.
on top of that, the whole metro map is in French. And it's kind of, even if you're asking a few directions to somebody, even that is kind of difficult to ask them, because for example, there is this a metro station, it's called Linen Gruel. I'm still saying it pretty wrong, but even to ask them, though, where do I go from Linen Gruel? They were like, what? What? Pardon? What do you mean by that? What do you mean?" So that was the
Yeah.
thing for me. And also Google Maps. I'm just not, I'm just ashamed to say that I wasn't aware of Google Maps a lot, because you are so much like familiar with your own streets and city, right? You hardly use Google Map. At least I never used it in India. Are you coming here and using that? And then I got somebody, I met somebody randomly on the street, and the guy told me that, oh, this is how you kind of navigate the ways, and you see the metro, yellow, orange, blue, whatever. And that's how you kind of see it. So it was like that. But I think eventually I saw that within the city Montreal, people are pretty much bilingual. It's not that they don't understand you. They will understand you. Some of them might not be that open to talk to you in French, in English. And I think it's fine, because maybe they come from some orthodox ideologies, and which is okay. If that works for them, good. But I would say that majority of them, any place you go, they are pretty much bilingual. So yeah, that was my experiences within, a little bit
The first
outside
months.
the
Oh
the
wow.
that was like my first few months. I have sort of like described to you in a brief narrative, but yeah, I think that's how it was initially. Yeah.
And I love that because you're so right. Like whenever you're not able to communicate, the first thing that is going to happen, or the first thing that happened to me was, it's me. I'm wrong. There is something wrong with me. I'm broken. People cannot
Yeah.
understand me. Therefore, I have an issue, right? And then your self confidence goes down, and then it creates a lot of issues as well with like trying to search for a job or do more. So tell us more about how did you landed, or how did you find that first professional job, and now you're working in your dream job. So how can
Mhm.
what happened to get there?
Wow. um I think from the point of graduating and to the point of actually landing the job, I think a lot happened in between. I think I don't know from where to start. A lot happened. Okay, I graduated. Let me just tell you, like, I got my work permit in February 2020. And
Yeah.
then the moment I say 2020, people can understand that it's
Yep.
2020. And on top of that, Miguel, I had just 14 months because I studied for 14 months. So I finished that, and I within like a few weeks, I got to know that I have got a job which I'm going to start in the month of April, and that was in Toronto. I was supposed to move there. It was like an internship basically, and that would have definitely like helped me get the full time. I was sure about that. It was very good company, amazing agency. And but pandemic came in, and they called me and they told me we have kind of stopped your internship program and we cannot continue with that. I was obviously like heartbroken, and I am sitting at home. And at that time, I was working like a part time job somewhere. It was like a market research call center job. I was interviewing people over the phone. I was still doing that, but that also stopped. So there is no money coming in. And I just came back from India. I just got my work permit. So basically, money was pretty tight. And I had literally like, I think 2 months of rent left with me. So that was the situation at that time. Trust me, at that time, job wasn't the priority. The survival was the priority at that particular
Yeah.
moment.
So much
And
stress.
absolutely. That's why I said that the to the point even thinking about job was really far ahead in my mind. First was survival. Anything I can get, I'll do just to survive. So I think June happened, July happened. Obviously, pandemic kind of got worse and worse. Situations got worse and worse. The restrictions got worse and worse, and we were all just asked to sit at home. So I think pretty much I did the same. But the problem with my case was, and I'm sure many of the listeners or a lot of people around the world, the case was that my work permit was dying. It was going less and less, right? Each month was kind of making me reminder, okay, 9 months are left, 8 months are left, oh, 7 months are left. It's like on every 31st, I felt like I was getting a reminder that, okay, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months. It was like that. And my work permit is dying. So it was like that. But I think at that time, I had nothing else to do. No job, no nothing. The only thing I could do was I had a Wi Fi connection and a laptop, and I ended up actually networking with people. And I think, do you know Yasir Khan, who do a lot of speeches and educate people? I'm not sure if you know Yasir. So he actually used to do like a coaching program, job searching
Okay.
program. I joined that program because again I had nothing else to do. And thanks to the money that government gave, and I kind of used that, and I was able to like enroll into the program. I did that, and from that I created a lot of connections. And after that, I think that program did not help me land a job, but that actually, I would say, educated me the right way to network with people because I haven't done that before. Or even in India, again, like you are born in an environment where everybody knows everybody and you don't really have to network.
Exactly.
So that was the situation. And then I was left with like 4 or 5 months of my work permit, and nothing was working out. I was not getting any job. I applied everywhere. And even if I did apply, I gave the interview and I tell them that I have like 5 months or 4 months left, and they were not ready to hire me. They never told me on my face, but now if I look back, I understand why didn't they hire me. I completely understand that they weren't long on their part. And then after that, I think in 2020 December, I decided to move to Halifax. And I did that because there are certain programs in the Atlantic provinces of Canada, which helps you to land your permanent residency pretty easily. And then I was eligible for one of the program. They are called
Okay.
AIPP programs, Atlantic Immigration Pilot Programs. So I think I was eligible for one of them, and I had a little bit of experience working in India and in Canada as well. So that was kind of it was actually accumulated and it was counted within that certain policy. I was like, sure, that's amazing. And I had to do IELTS also, and I was already done with my IELTS exam as well. So I basically prepared myself to go to Halifax just to being able to live in Canada. Again, once again, job was way far in my mind. It was all about being able to live in Canada. I moved there in 2020 and I'm trying to find everything possible. I'm still not able to get a job and I'm left with just 4 months now. I remember like, but for some reason, I'll tell you, all this was happening. I was very positive. I
Hmm.
don't know how. I don't
Yeah.
know where was this positivity coming from. I was very positive. People would ask me, "Oh, your work." Some friends of mine would call me, like, "Are you serious? Like 4 months are left. 3 months are left. Whatever." I said, "I know it's gonna get extended." He said, "How do you know it's gonna get extended?" I said, "I just have a feeling that it's gonna get extended." My parents would ask me that, "Get your work visa. At least you'll be able to come to India. Do that." I said, "No, I'm not coming. I know it's gonna get extended." They were like, "How are you being so positive?" Even I don't know, Miguel, where was this coming from? But I just had a belief that I am here to stay and I'm not going back and something's going to happen. I just have some sort of feeling. I don't know, again, where was this? So, what was my source of positivity? I don't know. I still don't know. No. But I had very much belief in the whole immigration system for some reason. So I think that's what happened in January. Government came up with new policy that a work permit will be extended for the people for whom it got wasted during a pandemic. You'll get like 8 months extra. I was like, perfect, I'll get 8 months extra, 8 or 7 months extra. I was like, awesome. And I think by February they told us that instead of 8 months they're gonna give us 18 months extra. I was
That's
like, that's
amazing.
even better. So I applied for it, and I remember I got my work permit in 11 days. Literally, I remember I applied in the
Wow.
beginning of March, and I got on 11th or 12th March. And my work permit was like the initial work permit, post-graduate work permit, was expiring on the 4th or 7th of April. So basically, in a month, I would have just left Canada or something else would have chosen to do, but I wasn't allowed to like stay. But I got the work permit and I got 18 months extra. And I remember when I received that work permit in my hand, Miguel, I swear I had a little bit of, I was a little emotional, like, oh my God, okay. There was like some
Wow.
sort of relief I got that, wow, okay, I am not going back. I'm staying here, as I was telling my friends and my family. And I remember also when that policy was announced, everybody I have spoken to whom I reached out for some sort of hope that how can I extend it, everybody, literally, it was crazy to see the amount of messages I got from people that, oh, this is the policy, everybody's sending me the links, everybody's calling me. I said, what has just happened? Like, I had no idea. But then
Yeah, you
people
were top of
educated me.
mind.
Oh, exactly. So everybody just messaged me, "Oh, this is happening. This is happening. You can apply for this." So that's what I did. I applied for that. I think that's where my job search journey actually started, I would say. I think,
Wow.
but the good thing is, in December 2020, when I moved to Halifax, again, I had nothing else to do, and I started creating content on LinkedIn, and that's how I connected with a lot of people. And this one video I created, which was about, uh, look, it basically I took like a 30-day challenge. It was like creating a 30-second video for 30 days, at least like a 30-second video. I took like a 30-day challenge. And in that challenge, I think it wasn't only me, we were like 7, 8 people together doing that challenge on LinkedIn, kind of like helping each other, boosting each other. I think that also helped me to put myself a little bit out more, just to put myself out there, get out of my comfort zone. Also to lose my work from home pajamas and dress better, because you are just always just lazing, rolling around
Yeah.
here and there, in your pajamas. So I think that's what I did, and that helped me connect with a lot of people. And this one video I created, which was about being grateful. I think that was my word of that year, being grateful. And I think that's what I made, like a tiny video. I said that yes, a lot of things are going wrong all around the world, but I'm grateful for being able to rent this place I'm renting in right now. I have like food, I have warmth, I have shelter. I see people, a lot of people, you do see come across who don't have a home, who don't have a lot of correct food to eat. So many
Right.
things that you can complain, but we forget to count our blessings. There is so much to be thankful for. And that's where I created that one video, and at the end I said that, yeah, it's okay to question, but at the same time it's very important to be grateful for the things that you're already blessed with. I did that video, and at the end I said something around the lines of that, I know things are not going correctly, and a lot of people are looking for their jobs, including myself. When I said that line, including myself, people heard that. And from there, a lot of people connected with me, reached out to me, my connections increased. And I think from that, I started reaching out to a lot of people. And from that moment on, Mikhail, I still have the list with me. I think looking at it like few days ago, because I was just cleaning few things up, and I reached out to 102 people. literally 102 people from my industry. I created like a list of 40 agencies, which were like my sort of like the agencies I kind of wanted to work with. I created a list of that. I found the people from those 40 agencies, 102 people. And I think I would reach out to them on LinkedIn. If they don't reply me back in 2 days, I would find somehow their emails. I will send them an email. And after the email, if they don't reply me on email also, I'll just follow a couple of times. Otherwise, I'll just let it go. And I'll go on to the next person. So it was like that. Out of 102 people, I remember like 28 people actually replied me back, and I spoke to those 28 people. And because of the all that knowledge I got, 28 people, I was actually able to land the job that I landed eventually. So I think
Oh,
in that moment, the biggest thing was definitely not dwelling in the past, not dwelling into the thought that, oh my God, I'm not getting the response. And sometimes we do take things very personal, and we get bogged down by not receiving those responses. But nobody is against you. People are just occupied, people are just busy, and I
right.
might again didn't understand at that particular moment. But now, being in the same position at the receiving end, I understand that sometimes even I'm also having too much on my plate, and things happen and you don't reply immediately. So that's like one thing. And second thing was obviously like, no, not dwelling in the past and continue moving on. What happened so happened. Mistakes you did, it's fine. It's time to move on to the next thing. And that's what I did. I spoke to those people, reached out to them, asked for just what are the knowledge they can share with me. Just exactly the coffee chats. We all always talk about those coffee chats, and that's exactly what I did. And I think that helped me gain a lot of knowledge about the Canadian advertising industry. And I started applying to jobs, and I gave a couple of interviews as well. And during those interviews, I do have some experiences where the question was more about my accent on my turban rather than my skills for a job interview time,
Oh,
which kind of like used to make me question, like, what is happening here? Why are you
yeah.
not asking me about my skills, or maybe the things from my resume? Why are you asking me about my accent? Why are you asking about my English? Or why are you asking me about India? So not like these
Yeah.
experiences were happening. What are you doing? It was like that for me. So that all happened, and then eventually I applied to this one company. And honestly, I don't even remember applying to my current company. I don't remember at all. But when they reached out to me, I gave that interview, and I think there was something. I gave a bunch of interviews. I don't even remember the number of interviews I gave. I have no recollection at all. So many interviews. And I think when I gave my this particular interview, I remember there were like two people on the call, amazing ladies, very nice, very supportive people. And the moment I finished the interview, I had a feeling that I got it. I just had a feeling that I think I got it. And I remember my roommate asked me that, how was the interview? I told him, I said, I think I got it. He said, what do you mean? So did like get the offer or whatever? What is it? I said, no, I just have a feeling they're gonna call me again. I think I got it. And the reason I said that is that you sometimes, you have that gut feeling, and I am all about gut feeling and all about vibes. The moment I heard them, I said, okay, I think I'm in. This is perfect, a good company, good place, and people were nice, and I think I think I'll get it. And I say that because when they were asking me questions, Miguel, it was not limited to my resume. It was not limited to my skills. And it was not at all about my accent or not at all about my third one, but it
Right.
was about the person I am. And I love that because that proved that they were hiring for somebody who's a cultural fit. It was about that. And I felt like the way they were talking, the way they were questioning, and I felt like I was very much associating with what they are looking for. It was like that. So that's why I said, because again, we do hear people say, all the professionals who are career coaches or recruiters as well, that hard skills can get you the job, but it's the soft skills that actually keep you at the job, who help you
Yeah.
retain the job, right? So I think it was like that moment I sort of experienced that. And yeah, so I think I was right. I think a week later, or I think less than a week, they called me. They called me again, and at that time I was on the Delhi airport. I was traveling to India when they emailed me, and I told them that, hey, I am here. So, and she told me, I called you when your voicemail was saying that you are traveling. She said, I was just talking to you like 2 3 days ago, and now you were in India. What just happened? And then she told me that. I said, okay, yes, I'm traveling, but I can speak to you at this particular time. So I
Yeah.
spoke to her, and she gave me the offer, and I got it. And I remember when I got it, and my parents knew that I'm kind of in the final call. And when she gave me the offer, and I remember just shouting on my chair, "Oh my God, I got it!" I was so happy. And trust me, it
Amazing.
was a better feeling, and I was more happy than the time when I got my PR. It was
Oh,
like that
wow.
because I got my
Wow.
PR before my job, and I was way, way happier than that because it took me forever. I think it took me more than 2.5 years to being able to get into the industry I wanted to get into. And it's going to be 2 years. I'm going to complete my 2 years early next year at this agency. So,
It sounds
yeah,
that it's
this
an
was
amazing
my.
place. Oh, wow.
It is
Gracias.
indeed an amazing place. Yeah.
So much to unpack. Let's start with you. You have like a sixth sense, or like you are guided in a way because you're right. Like, for example, in my case, when I was struggling so much, I remember I couldn't figure out what was happening, and then I was kind of like
Mhm.
self attacking myself. It's like, oh, by now you should have done this. Oh, you are going too slow, and I was too harsh on
Yeah.
myself, and then of course
Yeah.
lower my energy instead of like increasing it. And you are so right, like the gratitude and serving others was kind of like the cure for me, where it helped me to move forward and help people, and actually like change my mindset, because
Yeah.
it's incredible that you have struggled for so many months and
Yeah.
you kept positive. It's like that's very rare, Gracias, because I
Yeah.
have talked with a lot of people, and that actually never happened. In fact, it's a lot of struggle and a lot of like fight just to keep up the right mindset and the positive thinking. And it's like just the energy that consumes all of this effort is huge. So I'm super happy that you had that kind of like inner guidance and say like, yes, it's going to happen,
Yeah.
and it happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
number two, if like so much to ask, but this is very important because you learn how to network, because we come from countries where, to your point, I know a lot of people know me, so it's quite easy, friends, family, it's super easy. But when you come to a new country, like no one knows you, and for people to do business or for people to hire you, they need to like you, know you, and trust you. But if no one knows you, then it's very hard. So you learn how to
Yeah.
network, and you mentioned coffee meetings. So if I
Absolutely.
was a newcomer, just recently landed in Canada, and I'm in the same boat like yourself or myself included here, like struggling to find out our way, what could you say about networking and information interviews? What would be like the top five things that you would recommend them to do, or to change, or to implement?
Absolutely. I think the first thing which the very first thing is I would have started it when I was in my school. And I never started it at that particular moment. And because I did it like after 2 years, literally, when I started doing my networking interviews. I think so. First thing is definitely do it right after landing. 1 month, 2 months, you're sort of settled that you have your SIN number, have a sort of like a job and everything. You're a little bit settled here, start doing it. After 2 months, 3 months, going to these networking events. Unfortunately, in Montreal, we don't have a lot of these events, but if you're in Ontario, definitely go to those events and start networking at that particular moment. And I think the second thing is definitely one of the things which I did was making a list of the companies you really want to work with. Make a list of that. And third is from that list, maybe filter out your top 10 in that particular time. Filter out the top 10 and then reach and find people who are working in those similar positions. So, for example, I work in advertising and there are particular departments. There is account department, account management, client servicing, also it's called. Then there is creative strategy, and then there is the other digital aspect of things, right? So I think just to see that where you want to actually get into. For example, I wanted to get into account management always, and I was reaching out to people only in account management, like the
Makes
people who
sense.
are account coordinators, executives, account managers, who are even the directors, just reaching out to those people. And the very first thing, when you reach out to them, don't go with the intent of a transaction. Don't go with the intent of that, because I think one of my guests also said this, that don't just collect connections, connect with your connections. And I love that.
Right.
Don't just collect. I'll repeat, don't just collect, you have to connect. When you reach out to them, again, it should not be a transaction that I tell you this, you tell me this, we get the job. And no, don't do that. Just with the intention of curiosity. You have that curiosity in you and have like certain set of questions that what do you want to really know about the field, what do you want to know about the industry, and I think that also helps the people understand where you are coming from, and I think it's important to even do a little bit of research about the person. And you see that, for example, again, giving you my examples because I've done that somebody who has worked on um, the Tesla's campaign, for example, or Nissan's campaign, and you see on their profile they have worked on those Nissan's campaign. Why don't you go and look at those ads which they have created? And when you are on the call, ask them the questions: how did they come up with that concept? How did that happen? How were you able to create these certain colors, for example? How were you able to choose a certain tagline? Why did you specify this particular demographic in the ad? Why did you feature this person in the ad? And these questions always help you to learn a lot, definitely, but
Yeah.
also tells the other person that the person is genuinely curious about the industry and is genuinely curious about the craft, the whole process of creating an ad. So I think definitely these couple of things, I think I've mentioned three, four, or five, I don't know, but
Yeah.
definitely, a couple of things which is definitely start doing it as early as possible. Make a list of your priorities, filter them up, third for sure, and then reach out to those people, do your research, and at the same time be as curious as you can. And once again, don't just collect connections, connect with your connections. So yeah,
Oh
these are the
wow,
things I would say.
that's incredible. I love that because
Yeah.
you're so right. Like I remember my first networking attempts were just like, I need a job, can you help me? And of course that
Mm,
didn't work. But with over the years I became really good at coffee meetings, and
yeah,
you hit the nail on the top, because it is about building meaningful relationships and about connecting with them in a way that they see yourself through your questions.
yeah,
So for example, if you're asking those kind of questions, it's like, oh, you are a professional in the industry and you already have a level of expertise that they can see through
absolutely.
the questions. But if you
Yeah,
ask very basic questions, then we'll say like, okay, this person is just career changing
yeah.
or something. But yeah, I love
And
that
I think
part.
everybody also comes that maybe they would people would be at different stages of their life also. Like for example,
Right.
I was a very early in my career, I was very young, but somebody who has already like a decade of experience, their questions won't be these questions, their questions be very different, which I can't really give you an example of because I haven't done that. So I think you have to see, like, in that particular moment, what stage of the career you are at and what kind of people you have to reach out. I think that is something very personal and subjective to your particular case. And the point where you said that, you were just asking for a job initially, I don't blame you also, because sometimes you are in that particular situation where you are so desperate to get a job. you
Yep.
you you really, even if you wanted to have a very informal and a coffee chat, you won't be able to, because your mind doesn't allow you to prioritize those casual conversations. It's all about business. Okay, chop chop. Okay, we are here on the call.
Exactly.
Hi, you have a job? I need a job. Please give me a job, otherwise I have to go back. So it's like, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Also, you are in that situation where you had no choice to do
and
anything
it's
else.
and you know
So
what is
yeah,
it's so interesting because if I'm in a mindset of I need a job, it's like, number one, I need to sound interesting, I need to be intelligent, I need to ask smart questions. So a lot of
yeah,
pressure on how I'm performing, how I'm executing the meeting, right? How I'm doing the
yeah,
interview or the coffee. But if I'm curious, then my mindset shifts into, instead of a me focus, if it goes into, I really want to know more about the other person. It's like, okay, how did you do this? How did you create this accomplishment? How did you went from A to B so fast? Like all
yeah,
of these questions make the other person to be like also very engaged, because now they are sharing their best moments in their life with you, and of course they feel amazing. And at the end of the meeting, is like, wow, I just had an amazing meeting with Miguel or Gurasis, and yeah, let's
yeah,
meet again. So
absolutely.
before jumping into a topic that I want to talk about, which is your podcast,
Yeah,
uh, you mentioned you connected with those 102 people, professionals.
yeah.
Did you keep a relationship with them? Did you keep nurturing those relationships, or it was just like a one-off kind of meeting and that was all?
Well, not all of them. some of them I think I still speak to. Some of them we do engage with each other's content, and we do I just like, the moments like certain occasions, which is holidays, we do wish each other. And
Yeah.
I think I continue to do that. And I would say that I think I've learned that from my father. I think all my extrovertness and extrovertness, is that even a word? Yeah, I think it's a word.
It is.
Extro yeah.
Why not?
So yeah, yeah. Why not? We are building our own vocabulary here. So yeah, I think my that nature and maintaining relationship is something which is from my father. I'm also the one who is the glue in my friends also, who always the one who makes the plan, always one who plans a party or plans a visit. I'm like that person, and I think I'm kind of like good at that, building then maintaining the relationships. So the short answer is few of them, yes. I have continued to nurture the relationship, and I have stayed in connection. And some of them, I think, maybe once in a while, or and some of them I don't. I think it's also like it's like a two-way street, right? It
Exactly.
takes two to make a tango. It's like that. And even if I'm putting all my effort and I'm getting no response from the person for an year, for example, and I'm saying that because I've had experiences where I messaged somebody and they replied me back after 11 months. I remember
Yeah.
that. So so yeah, I think it depends upon the person to person, but most of them I think I'm able to maintain the relationship. Yeah.
I love that because you're so right. It takes two to make. It takes two to tango, and I love the analogy of dancing because it's like that. It depends on the rhythm. It depends on the tempo of the music. It depends on the
Yeah.
moment, the timing, and also it's about give and take. It's about being a giver and providing so much value, but at the same time, the other person being interested in your journey as well. So
Absolutely.
I love that, and you're so right. Like it's not about numbers; it's about quality. So even if you
Yeah.
have a two or three, those can change your life forever for sure. So now let's
100%.
jump into what I wanted to ask you from the beginning
Absolutely.
as well. Now you're paying it forward in a way that is huge, like from your journey and from all the experiences you decided to create a podcast called My Thick Accent. Can you explain us what happened, what was the origin story about that podcast, and oh, so much more questions, but I'm super excited just to know that beginning.
Absolutely. And I am very, very grateful for you to ask me this question, because I'm so passionate about this topic and the podcasts. And I think I really want more and more people to, hear that. And to answer your question, and I would say that all the experiences that I've mentioned briefly on the podcast, from the point of introducing myself in the class to having those certain experiences outside of my class, to the point of having those experiences while interviewing, where the question is more about my accent and my turban and my skills and all those experiences. I think all that together, and to one point where I was working in a market research company, I was interviewing somebody over the phone, and this man in between the conversation said, "Oh my God, you have such a thick Indian accent." And I think it was one of those days I wasn't in a good mood, and fortunately nobody was monitoring my call, and I was fortunately nobody was monitoring. I'm so glad.
Amazing.
And I was just in a mode that wasn't the best mood, having a tough day. I'm contemplating my life, questioning my decision of coming to Canada. I haven't had food since morning. I'm hungry. I don't know even what I'm gonna go and cook, and then I realize I don't even have groceries from past few weeks. There are so many
Yeah.
things that's going on in my mind. And when he said that to me, "You have such a thick Indian accent," I said, "Sir, you also have a thick Canadian accent." And and when he said that to
I
me,
love that.
he also giggled just like yourself, and then he hung up the call and we never spoke. For some reason, that name, thick accent, stayed with me. And then bunch of these experiences in the job interviews, the outside, I kept on hearing this word a lot. The thick accent, a lot of this word. And then the question was regarding my looks, where I wear a turban, and I'm right in your face. I wear a turban. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to change it for anybody. This is how it is. This is what it is. So I think combining all those experiences and then the conversation that I had with people when I started doing that challenge, 30-day challenge, and I did talk about a lot of these things, about the colors of my turban, about the accent, about my looks, and about people from different diverse groups, people coming from all around the world to Canada and finding a life here. I think all the experiences together made me, I would say, like, it basically encouraged me to bring a platform where I felt like these guys need to be heard.
Yeah,
We cannot be stereotyped, we cannot be judged just and just because of the way we look or the way we speak. We might be the smartest people in the room, but we are not taken that seriously at times. And this is the harsh truth. Somebody who might disagree with me, but this is the truth. It is what it is. We might be the smartest people in the room sometimes, and we're not taken that seriously just because the way we are talking or just because the way we look. And that's not acceptable. So that's why I decided to call the podcast My Thick Accent. And I'm aiming to break those stereotypical molds that we immigrants are asked to fit in, because we are way, way beyond our accents and our looks. And and also to the point where I want those stories to be out there so that the upcoming immigrants or the current immigrants or somebody who is even living here from a decade, for example, I want to tell them that, hey, I have bringing these stories. If he or she can do it, you can do it as well. And I unfold their personal journeys of struggle, resilience, the whole process of finding home away from home, because that's not easy. It takes a toll to pack your bags, pack your life in those two suitcases, and come to seven seas apart, in our case, and then just trying to navigate a life here, trying to adjust to an absolutely new world where life has never existed before.
exactly.
Back home, I have maybe a shopkeeper I go to all the time. Maybe I have the network of my family. The day I was born, I had the network of people I can reach out to.
Yeah,
You have somebody who can help you with your taxes, somebody who might be even able to help you fix your car. You have somebody who might even be help you get some groceries from the market sometimes. You have all those connections. And you are saying that I come here, do all this, and on top of that, you are local people, not local people, not everybody, again, not generalizing, but most of them. You are saying that you want me to even start questioning my accent or my identity. No, not acceptable, not happening. I am not doing
I
that
love that.
for sure. Right. So that's why I was like, okay, this is the time, this is what it is. And but in no way I'm trying to take a diss to anybody. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Oh, you did this to me. You did that to me. You asked me to go back to my country. You asked me to repeat things 20 times, Okay, maybe not 20, but yeah,
Yeah.
20 times. And no, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just telling you, all we want you to is acknowledge our presence in a room, because we are here to stay and we're not going back anytime soon. And in fact, we are even bringing our family, relatives, everybody here, and we are not going back anytime soon. And this is what it is. And if any of those people listen to the podcast, they know what to expect: the thick accent. So, yeah, I think long story short, my thick accent aiming to break those stereotypical molds, and because we are way beyond our accents and our looks. Yeah,
Oh
that's all.
wow, I love that, and you're so right because at some point, just because I couldn't speak fluently or I was speaking with broken English or whatever, uh, people thought that I was not smart. But it's like
Yeah.
if they only knew that I have a master's degree, manage companies, quadruple, all the accomplishments, and it's like people
Yeah.
will not even notice it. And because they see you working at Tim Hortons or in a survival job, they're just assuming like, oh,
Yeah.
this person is not that smart. Oh, that was my impression. And you are so completely right. The moment that they start listening to your story, they're like blown away. And it's like, oh, why are you here? Like you should be,
Yeah.
in a different place and you should be doing so many different things. But yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. So I love that. And I've been listening to some of your episodes and it's like, oh, wow, you have a unique storytelling ability or where you just engage everybody to listen more to the story and to ask the question and so what and what's next. And yeah, so I love that part too. Can you tell us more about where are you right now on your podcast and where are you going?
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate that, coming from a fellow podcaster. Yeah, about the podcasting. So I think I completed my 1 year and I called it an end of season, so to say. I completed my 50 guest interviews and I think I am on set
Wow.
to launch my second season. It's coming early 2024. Exact dates will be announced soon. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all. I did my 50 interviews, and I think pretty proud of myself for being able to do that. Because, once again, I will not say that I never thought I will complete my 1 or 2 years. I
Yeah,
am pretty much very, very. Uh, I would say I'll rephrase it. I would say that I am very much. Again, I'm trying to find a better word. I'll rephrase again. But I'm trying to say that I do believe in this podcast a lot. And I'm saying that in no pompous way or in no arrogance. I genuinely believe in this because I feel like I wish something like this would have existed back when I came to Canada,
exactly.
because it gives me some sort of surety. Even as a podcaster, even somebody who's interviewing people, give me a surety that it does get better. All those things are part of your bigger journey. All those things are helping you build your character. All those struggles are helping you to become the person you will be in the couple of years that you'll be proud of. So I think I definitely believe in this podcast a lot, and this vision a lot, and this people's ability to be coming on the show and talking about their journeys a lot, because I feel like that's very powerful. And we all as human beings learn from stories a lot. We might have learned so many concepts since our childhood, but the things that stayed with us were those stories. Some of
Yeah,
the lessons, some of those, I'm sure you will have certain in your uh, respective cultures as well. You know, all of our listeners might have had, like, there are certain stories which stayed with us. For example,
yeah.
our stories come from my gurus, my gods within within my faith, or some lessons which I learned from the Hindu mythology, which is again
Hmm.
big in India. So I think we all learn from those stories, and I think they stay with us, and they also leave in us, like, instill in us certain sort of belief that you really have to be patient, be calm, and get the things coming one at a time, and don't pressurize yourself just because you are a new world and you have to do everything right now,
Exactly.
right here. No, 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 hold on. Take a break, do everything once at a time, and everything will get better as long as you are going patiently, you are going strategically, and you know your next steps. And always ask for help when it's needed. Do not hesitate. I know it's hard. It's very hard to reach out to a random person on LinkedIn or even on the street, right? It's really hard. But imagine if you just take that one step. You never know where it can take you. The answer is
Exactly.
always no, until unless you don't ask. And I think it's the same um, ideology I follow in my podcast. Sometimes I see some amazing people and I say that, oh my God, I don't think so I can reach out to them. I don't think so I can ask them. But now
Yeah,
I honestly don't hesitate. I drop a message, they reply me back. Great. Perfect. We record an episode. If they don't reply me back, it's fine. Anyways, they won't reply me back earlier. So it's okay. So I think that's how I see it. But the short answer to your question, I think I went pretty over. Yes, so I finished my first season, finished my 50 interviews, 50 guest interviews. And the second season is coming up very, very soon. And the second season, I'm trying to turn up the fun factor a little bit, because why not? Who does a little bit
yeah,
of more fun? And it's also a little bit about more about, I would say, my journey as well, because I have interviewed all these people and I have got this feedback a lot that we want to know more about your journey, want to know about you.
exactly.
And this particular interview, thank you for this, Miguel. I think you let me share my story, but definitely for the listeners of My Thick Accent, I'm sharing a lot more about myself and a lot more fun questions, and another new segments are coming in. So yeah,
Oh,
stay
I'm so
tuned for that.
excited. Well, I can tell you a couple of things. I look up to you because I think I heard for the first time about your podcast because you interview a friend. His name is Oscar,
Yeah,
and he also was a podcaster with
absolutely.
amazing podcast as well. And after that, I got hooked because I think I'm also on a mission very similar to yours in terms of we are here to provide hope because there is a lot of darkness and there is a lot of like uncertainty, a lot of
Mhm,
feelings and energy that comes from being frustrated and angry and sad and confused because all of these ups
mhm.
and downs of the immigration process, which is a lot, it consumes a lot of uh, mental capacity. And also
Absolutely.
we're like a lighthouse in a way, or that's my vision, to be a lighthouse and say like, hey, I know you, a lot of people who maybe just landed and they have been here maybe for some years, they're still struggling to find their way. It's like, at least, hey, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and you can find a way by listening to other stories, because you're so right. If that person was able to do it, I think I'm able to do it because we are so similar.
100%.
So I love that. um,
Yeah.
just to wrap up the episode, a couple of questions. The first one: if you have a billboard that could
Mhm.
be read or watched across all Canada, across the entire world, what will be your message?
Can I give you two billboards?
I love
the
that two were like
yeah.
driving. You can see the first one and the second one. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So the first one would I would start. The first one would be definitely around the accent. It will say that it's okay to have an accent. It's a sign of bravery. So keep it up. First
Love
one
it.
would be that. And the second one would be just after that would be for it can say that for job seekers, if you got the job, congratulations. If you did not, that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. So these are the two things I would say.
Oh wow, it's about mindset and it's about like yeah, you're so right
Yeah.
because you know the right one is coming as well, and you just need
Yeah.
one yes. That's amazing. And my last question to you, Grace, is I know it takes a village, but for all of this success and for everything that you have done, who is the person? Who are the people that are that you feel the most grateful for this journey?
Wow, I'm taking a moment because there are like so many people who have played a major role in my life, and I say that because o- in every part of my journey, I feel like different people have played different sort of roles, and they all have left me some sort of lessons and wisdom which have stayed with me. And with many of them I might not be in connection with, to be honest with you, but they did leave an impact on me. And I don't think so I can name any one person, but if I really have to say, definitely my parents, I would say, because a lot of these lessons, and I would say a lot of my hope, or a lot of my positivity during that pandemic and those tough months were definitely my parents, and I would also say my faith. Uh, that has There are like certain lessons and certain things uh, where I go back to when I feel little, not I would say little, I would say I feel quite rejuvenated. I would say that. And um, definitely, I would say also the people I met in Halifax. And I say that because I started my podcast in Halifax. My roommates basically, they were like my biggest supporters at that time, and all of them are amazing people. And I'm still in contact with few of them, not all of them. And I say that Halifax once again because I started my podcast there. I worked on this idea there. I got my permanent residency there. I got my job there.
Amazing.
So yeah, I would say that city in general has played a big role in my life as well. Um, yeah, I think it would be very unfair for me to name any one person apart from my parents and the faith. So I would not name them, but I think they know who they are. And
Yeah,
definitely thanks to everybody who has come along the journey and who have been a pillar of support throughout, especially when you are all alone here in a foreign land. You need that family of yours to the new family that you have made yourself. And you want such sort of people around you who are, it is said that surround your people with the people who are going to be your biggest motivators and not the ones who are going to pull you down. So I would say all of them, each one of them have been the biggest supporters. And I would not name them, but yeah, but I
it
would say
takes a
just
village.
thanks to them. Yeah.
Definitely, it takes a village, and you're so right. We're so similar because I will answer that by saying everyone, because the good, the bad, like it doesn't matter. It's like
100%.
it
Yeah.
had to do for us to be on the same journey and for us to be to have learned what we have learned so far. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. My last question to you is the same question you asked Oscar in your episode, which was from
Oh.
a podcaster to a podcaster. What would you suggest? Yeah. And also, what has been your biggest learning so far? And also, anything that you want to share on how can we make your podcast and this podcast better?
I think the answer to your second question first, that what uh, what I have learned from it, the biggest thing, I think it's definitely like believe in yourself a little more, because we do question ourselves. We do have the tendency to fall into the pit of imposter syndrome that, oh my God, do I
Yeah,
not know enough? I have not done my research enough. But sometimes just have to let it go and let the flow of the conversation take over. We do question a lot. I would say that first. And the advice, I think I literally take the advice what Oscar said, but because I
Yeah.
believe in it. I'm not saying it because I don't have another answer. I genuinely believe in it that again we have the tendency to compare ourselves to the other people's numbers, whether the number of social
Yeah.
media, number of downloads. It's not going to help you in any way. It's not going to change if you check it every day, if you check it every week. It's not going to change just like that. It's not going to move. It might sometimes move like for from 10 downloads, and sometimes it just not move at all, so it's absolutely okay, and don't look at those numbers at all. That's what I would say.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, you're just right, because when I heard that one, it's like, yes, it's not about those numbers. It's about the impact. And if all of that we're doing just helps one person, hey, that was success on my books.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Gurasis, thank you so much. I'm super excited that we had this opportunity to talk and to share your story. I'm again, I'm your biggest fan, because now that I know you more, something that you say in your podcast is like to get to know each other beneath the accent.
Hmm.
It's so true. It's like
Yeah.
you create those that relationship and that bond just by listening to the other person's story. So thank you again, and thank you for being a lighthouse to help us also like find our way or make our way. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for listening as well. And I'm so glad that you started this, and I say that because there are so many stories I can tap into, there is so many people I can reach out to, and there are so many people I can even broadcast this to. But having more people who join in the mission to unfold those journeys, bring forth those successful immigrants, who have made that indelible mark in this foreign land, I think those need to be heard. And thank you for starting this, and thank you
Thank you.
for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And like I told you earlier, this is the first time ever I have shared my journey, my immigration journey. So thanks a lot. I really
Oh,
appreciate
that's
that.
amazing.
Thanks.
Well, gracias to your success. Thank you.
That wraps up another great conversation full of actionable advice to help you thrive as a newcomer. If you enjoyed this or took away something useful, I have just 3 quick asks. First, spread the word. Post about this on social media or share it directly with somebody that needs this. Next, pay it forward. Take a minute and leave us a review with your biggest takeaway. You can also share your experience by sending us a message or recording a short video at story.onfire.show. And finally, come and join our community. Connect with fellow newcomers, ask questions, and keep the conversation going at onfire.show. That's all for this episode of Newcomers on Fire. I am Miguel, reminding you that with the right mindset and community, anything is possible. See you next time for more amazing stories and practical tips to help you build the life you want in your new home.
We hope you enjoyed this show and that it helps you to find your way or make your way. If you found value, share it with someone who needs it. Until next time, to your success.